Hello, Chris Codependent, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, and then I post it up to Facebook. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Codependent. I'll put that down in the description. They are an online therapy company. They are international. So if you are anywhere in the world and you want to get a hold of an American therapist, they can do that. So, and their PhD level or master's levels, they're all licensed. So this is a good thing. I've been getting really good feedback on BetterHelp.com/Chris Codependent. So that's all cool and groovy. So thank you to my sponsor, BetterHelp.com/Chris Codependent. Okay, let's hit the questions. Toxic shame and codependency. What is the difference? Okay. Codependency is when we have become parentified, when we have learned that we have to take care of somebody else in order for us to be okay. So the parent is absentee, they're neglectful, they're abusive, they're not there, they're a drug addict, they're alcoholic, they're whatever. And so they're not there. So we step into the role of parent. And so we start caring for them, or we start caring for the little ones below us. And so that's the start of codependency, is that we have to make sure everybody's okay in order for us to be okay. Toxic shame is when the abuser shoves their stuff into our space, our head, and says, you, you're this, you're that, you. They're projecting all of their shame onto and into us, and it's not even ours. So that's toxic shame. Toxic shame is when we don't even feel the right to exist. Like it's not okay. Like we're ashamed of being alive, or we're ashamed of who we are, or what we think, or how we are, or whatever. So toxic shame is learned. It's learned. It's learned from the abuser. Codependency is also learned. But codependency is where we feel we have to take care of everybody in order for us to be okay. Toxic shame is where they make us feel invalid by shoving all of their stuff into our space. So I hope that explains the difference. So I would read Codependent No More by Melanie Beattie. I would read The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Any and all of those books would be really good. Okay. Can you define healthy self-esteem? So healthy self-esteem is just that quiet little voice inside that doesn't need other esteem, okay? Other esteem is not self-esteem. Self-esteem is just that tiny little voice inside that goes, I love you, good job, keep going. You screwed up? Okay, make amends. Good, you did. All right, forgive yourself, move on. It's kind, it's gentle, it's not mean, it's not nasty. So the critic is the one that goes, you're not good enough, blah, 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 blah. And the ego, the narcissist, is the one that looks outside. Tell me I'm great, tell me I'm great, tell me I'm great. You know, pump me up, tell me I'm great. So other esteem is narcissistic. Self-esteem is just that quiet voice going, good job, keep going. That's it. That's how you can tell the difference, because other esteem requires other people to pump you up to tell you that you're great. Self-esteem is just that quiet little voice inside your head going, good job, keep going. Yep, like you. Yep. It's not mean, it's not nasty, it's not any of that stuff. And when we do something, it acknowledges us. It goes, wow, that was really well done. Good job. You know, there's no ego involved, there's no nastiness involved, there's no game playing involved. It's just a simple statement. Hey, good job, I'm really proud of you, good job. You know, so doing the mirror work helps reinforce that self-esteem. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I give you permission to like yourself. I give you permission to draw boundaries. I give you permission to say no. So that's working on all of the stuff that the abuser has tried to erode. So self-esteem is all the stuff that's good for us, that we do for us, that's good for us. Drawing boundaries, that's good for us. Saying no, that's good for us. Who doesn't like that? Abusers. So, you know, if you're doing something good for you and the abuser doesn't like it, you're on the right path. So, yep, that is the difference between, that is healthy self-esteem. It does not involve others, it's self. All right, what are the attachment styles? All right, so a healthy, secure attachment is what you want. It's where you know you're loved and you're okay and you can go apart from them and you're okay and everything's fine. An insecure attachment style is constant fear of being abandoned, constant fear of being neglected, constant fear of being left behind. So that's an insecure attachment style. The other one is called avoidant attachment style. So they just avoid. They just don't get involved in relationships because relationships hurt and I'm not going to do it, and there we go. So you just avoid any sort of attaching. So there's a real distance, emotionally distant in that. So and those attachment styles are learned, and the good news is because they are learned, they can be unlearned, and they can be relearned in a healthy way. So there's study after study after study that's been done on this, where people who came from avoidant attachments or insecure attachments were in healthy relationships, and they started learning how to attach healthfully. So, but it takes effort, it takes work, it takes probably a therapist, but it can happen, and it does happen. So, yeah, those are the differences, the ones off my head, top of my head. So those are the different attachment styles. So let's see, what's another question? How can we cure our own codependency? So you start working the books, Codependent No More, and Beyond Codependent No More, both by Melanie Beattie, and you start working The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, and you start writing out what you know that you're doing that is codependent. What behaviors do you have? Why do you have those behaviors? Where did this come from? Who taught you this? And you start working those books, and you start figuring out, wait a minute, is my well-being really dependent upon making sure everybody and their dog is okay, or is my well-being making sure that I'm okay? You know, so you start doing self-care, super important. And you start working on self-esteem, because people who love themselves take care of themselves. People who love themselves don't put themselves on the back burner, are not the last thing that they think of. It's like they put themselves in the appropriate spot. Now, narcissists always put themselves on the front burner and everybody else goes on the back burner. But what we have to do is that balancing act of, you know, front, back, and making sure that we are taken care of as well, okay? So balance, and narcissists don't have balance. So there's that. Can you talk more about mind reading? Why is it so bad? Okay. Mind reading is a way that we've always stayed safe. So think about it. When we've been in an abusive family, right? You know, mom, dad, whoever is narcissistic, borderline, whatever, we start trying to mind read so we can stay one step ahead of them so we stay safe. So we start getting into this really bad habit of, oh, I know exactly what they're thinking. Oh, I know exactly what they're doing. I know exactly what this is, blah, 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 blah. Now with them you might, because they're predictable, because narcissists, borderlines do the same exact patterns over and over and over and over and over again. However, when you get out of that family situation and you are dating or you're married to somebody and you start mind reading, you're going to get it wrong. You're going to get it wrong. And then you expect them to mind read and you get mad at them when they don't. So let's just be perfectly clear. Do I believe in psychic ability? Absolutely. Do I think everybody is a mind reader? To some degree or another. However, when you're talking about relationships, you cannot expect somebody to mind read you. You cannot be trying to figure out what they're thinking and feeling. You gotta ask, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What's going on? And then you have a conversation about it. So the biggest mistake I see couples doing is that they expect the other to mind read, or they think they can mind read the person and they get it wrong. And then it causes a whole bunch of arguments, disagreements, etc., etc., etc. So instead of just mind reading, ask. It's so simple. It is so simple, but we don't think about it. Because if we asked our abusers what was going on, they'd first of all lie to us, or two, they would use that as an excuse to abuse us. So trusting, learning how to trust is part of not mind reading, and learning to ask questions. I don't understand. Can you clarify this for me? Can you help me understand where you're coming from? What's going on? You know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what the mind reading is all about. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to engage in that. Not in a relationship, because it just will not end well. Trust me. Okay, let's go to the next question. What do I think about Coda? I think Coda can be very helpful. I do. CODA can be a very helpful organization. It can, but you've got to understand, in any support group, whether that's AA, NA, CMA, CODA, SA, any of the support groups, there can be predators there, and often are. So you've got to be very careful when you join a support group, whether it's Codependents Anonymous, whether it's Sexaholics Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, Crystal Meth Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, any of those, they can have predators that go to there. And they do, obviously. So I think they're good. I don't get me wrong. I think AA is fabulous, but you also have to go in understanding that maybe not everybody there is there for the right reasons, or they may be looking for another target, or they may be, whatever. So you just got to kind of go in with your eyes wide open and, trust your gut, start trusting your gut, and really start looking at the behavior. Are they walking the walk, or are they just talking the talk? Are they really doing the steps to keep themselves from being codependent, or are they looking for somebody to be codependent with? So yeah, you got to be careful. But I do think CODA is good. I often advise clients to go to those meetings, and a lot of times they get a lot out of them. Sometimes they don't. Depends on which meeting it is. Again, those meetings are like trying to find a church. You got to find one that meshes with you. So, for example, the backyard meeting downtown Phoenix was like a revivalist meeting. That's awesome. The ones that have the motorcycle groups, those are awesome. You got to find ones that you like. You got to find ones that support you, that mesh with you, that you feel comfortable in. So, and if you don't like the first one, try another one. Just because one didn't work out doesn't mean that all of them are not going to work out. So let's go to the next question. The toxic spouse pulls away and I go into overdrive trying to get them back. That's your inner child. So when we were kids, whoever set you up to be codependent probably did the come here, go away, come here, go away, come here, go away. And so when a child is shunned, or when a spouse is shunned, it is painful. It activates the pain receptacles in our brain. It literally hurts to be shunned. It literally hurts to have somebody pull away. This is intentional on the part of the abuser. So if you know they're toxic, get out. Save yourself. Seriously. If you know they're toxic, get out. Because they're not going to change. And they're not going to get better. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get you what you want. So what abusers do is something called intermittent positive rewards. And what they do is they love bomb. I love you, I love you, I love you. And then all of a sudden they flip the other way. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. And they pull away. Why do they do that? Because it's intermittent positive rewards. And what we do is during the love bombing phase, we produce all of these oxytocins, okay? Those are the bonding chemicals. That bonds mommy and baby, okay? That bonds lovers together. So the oxytocin starts getting bonded. Then when they pull away, paradoxically, we start producing oxytocin like crazy, okay? And it is like a withdrawal. And it's intentional because then we're like desperate to get them back, literally in touch with us. So there's tons of studies out there on this. Go look up oxytocin. It talks about it. So what you want to do is, if you know they're toxic, this is part of their game. This is how they keep you stuck. This is the intermittent positive rewards. This is what they do to prisoners of war. I treat you good, give you food. Oh, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to treat you awful. Oh, no, I'm going to give you food, going to treat you good. Oh, no, screw that. I'm going to starve you. I'm going to treat you awful. And that would make the prisoners more pliant and more susceptible to brainwashing and to giving up information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So abusers absolutely do the pull away on purpose. If you know they're toxic, get out. Save yourself. Get into a therapist. Start a safety plan. Figure out how you can save up money without them knowing, and then leave. That would be the best thing. And the reason why you're so desperate to get them back is the oxytocin. You've got hormones working against you. And I swear to God, abusers know this on some level. Either they know it, or just they figured it out because, oh, isn't that interesting? I pull away. I pull away, and then suddenly they want to be around me 24/7. Interesting. So they've learned it. So yeah, this is what abusers do. So you've got to be very careful. And if you know they're toxic, get out, save yourself. I think my boss is an abuser and I'm terrified of losing my job. Okay. There are a lot of narcissistic bosses out there. There's a lot of narcissistic corporations out there. So what you're going to want to do is start looking for another job. Start looking for another job. They don't need to know that you're looking for another job. So this is where oversharing will get you in trouble. So targets of abuse often overshare, and they tell people things they should not tell them. You want to keep this on the down low. You want to keep it quiet. You're going to start looking for another job. And then as soon as you find another job, you're going to give your 2-week notice and you're going to be peace out, okay? Because narcissists don't change. Narcissists do not change, whether they're a romantic partner, a parent, or a boss, or a friend. They don't change. So the best thing you can do is start looking for another job, keep it on the down low, and then as soon as you get another job, get out. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Can you talk more about adrenal fatigue? Okay. The adrenaline gland sits on top of our kidney. Baseline is pretty low. We don't usually have a whole lot of adrenaline stuff flowing through our veins because we don't need it. What happens to people who've got complex post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, plain old PTSD, like that's any better, it's not. But what happens to people is that they go from baseline to up here all the time. High alert. Where's the danger? 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 We're looking for danger all the time. So the amygdala, remember our amygdala is stupid, 3 O's, stupid, cannot tell the difference between past, present, future, a thought about a dangerous event, a real dangerous event, an emotional event that's dangerous, a thought about an emotional event that's dangerous, or some real event that's happened in the past. It's all the same. Here now, here now, here now, here now. So because we're up periscope looking for danger, 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 where's the danger, where's the danger, where's the danger, our amygdala is stimulated all the time, which means the hippocampus, hypothalamus are stimulated all the time, and they are producing cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone. So when the amygdala receives a threat, there's a danger out there, there's something that's going to hurt us, it tells the hippocampus, hypothalamus, we need cortisol. So then cortisol floods the body. Then we tense up, and then we stop taking full normal breaths. We take these puffy little breaths that don't go anywhere. So at that point, another part of the brain, a little further down on the brainstem, goes, oh, crap, there's no oxygen CO2 exchange. It's wonky. What's going on? We're going to die. What's happening? So then that part of the brain tells the adrenal gland that sits on top of the kidneys to release everything at once. So now, shaking like a leaf, racing thoughts, pounding heart. And at this point, we either turn into a mess, typical panic attack, which is, I can't breathe in, oh my, and then we keel over, or we turn into the Incredible Hulk and we go into a rage attack because we're trying to stay safe. Because what sane person is going to come near somebody who's angry? They're not. So there's that. Now, with the up periscope, it's like this guy's activated all the time. These guys are activated all the time. This guy's activated all the time. And now the adrenal gland is activated all the time. What's that? What's that? Do we need more? Do we need more? Do we need more energy? Because that's what adrenaline does. It gives us more energy so we can run away. So we can do the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So we can, get out of the situation, run away, face the situation, fight it, freeze so that the predator walks on by, or give in to the predator so the predator leaves us alone. If you've ever watched bunny rabbits, that's what they do. I don't like that one. That one to me is the scariest one because I'm just like, that's not a sure way of staying safe. So I'm much more of a fighter and then a fleer. So anyway, the point being is that our bodies are in constant state of alert, hyper-alertness. That's part of PTSD. That's part of CPTSD. So we're in a constant state of hyper-alertness. What was that noise? What is this? What is that? Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And so we're constantly, our adrenaline glands are constantly getting pumped. And eventually the adrenaline glands just kind of take a look at you and go, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So people who have a high level of anxiety, high level of fear, high level of hyper alertness, those are the ones that usually get the adrenal burnout. And it's really, meditation is a great way to start overcoming that. Working with your naturopath is a great way to start overcoming that. Getting and working with a good trauma therapist so that you can start addressing, why do you have a high level anxiety? Why are you on high alert all the time? Can you soothe yourself? Can you bring yourself back down to baseline? You know, that kind of thing. So it's really important to get with a good therapist, a good trauma therapist, get with a good naturopath, do meditation, that kind of thing, to try to calm down the adrenaline gland, because it's been pumping, in some cases for decades, before it finally gives you the middle finger and says, that's it, I'm done. Screw you. Bye. You know. So, yeah. Is it real? Yeah, you bet. You bet. You bet, you bet, you bet. Yeah, because you're under a high level of stress having dealt with abuse for decades. So, yeah, absolutely. So I hope that helps you understand what adrenal fatigue is. It's just when the adrenaline gland just can't produce any more adrenaline, and the adrenal gland cannot produce any more adrenaline, and finally just kind of stops because it's tired, it's worn out. So yeah. Okay, talk more about self-care and boundaries. Self-care and boundaries are all connected to self-esteem. I've said that before, I will say that again. Self-care and boundaries are connected to self-esteem. People who love themselves have boundaries, and they take good care of themselves. Taking care of ourselves means having to say no. And that's really hard for survivors of abuse, because we've been groomed by our abusers to never say no. We've been groomed to be codependent. We've been groomed to take care of everybody and their dog. We've been groomed to, how dare you say no? How dare you do something nice for yourself? You know? So no is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence and needs no explanation. So anyone who does the but why, they're not respecting the boundary. They're not respecting the no. And that's a huge red flag, because no is a complete sentence. You don't owe anybody an explanation. I have said no. No explanation. That's a complete sentence. You know, so there's that. And it's a complete sentence. You don't owe them an explanation. It's a boundary. No means no. So it's having to do with self-esteem, because people who love themselves use no and don't feel guilty. They don't, because they know they have the right to say no. You know, if somebody asks you an unreasonable request, you have the right to go, no, that's not going to be helpful. Thank you. I'm not doing it. You know, or no, nope, sorry, can't do it. Well, why? Because I said no. And no is a complete sentence. So they try to guilt trip, they try to manipulate, they try to control, they try to whatever. So yeah, it's really important to work on your self-esteem so that you understand you are worthy of your own love, time, and attention, and that you have the right to say no, and that no is a complete sentence. And that boundaries are needed so that you can have space and time to heal. And you have the right to ask for that. So yeah, absolutely. Okay. Is it possible to stop being codependent? Yes, it is. I don't know why there's so many codependent questions. Yes, it is possible to stop being codependent. You have to realize you're doing it first. A lot of us don't even realize that we're being codependent when we're doing it, because we've been raised either with a religious set of morals. It's like, oh, you've got to help everybody, right? With communal narcissists do. Or we've been raised by a narcissist that was like, you know, how dare you do something for yourself? You've got to do it for me, blah, 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 you know, that whole thing. And so really the first step, like anything, is recognizing, am I codependent? Yeah. And that's why I love Harriet Braker's The Disease to Please. She has this whole questionnaire thing where you kind of figure out, oh, crap, yeah, hello, yeah, you know. So that's why I like Harriet Braker's The Disease to Please. And you got to figure out, you know, are you? Okay, take the quiz, see if you are. What kind of codependent are you? You know, how do you do that? And then figure out where it's coming from. Who taught you? Who taught you? Who did you have to take care of? Who did you have to appease? Who did you have to please the whole time you were growing up? Where did you learn this from? That kind of thing. And a lot of times I get people who are deeply in denial that will go, oh, well, I've always been like this. Codependency is a learned behavior. Who taught you? Yes, we kind of come out of the womb doing it because they're right there teaching us in the moment, but literally they have to teach us to do that. So who taught you? Who taught you to be codependent? Who taught you that you couldn't take care of yourself, that you had to take care of everybody else, and that it wasn't okay to do self-care? Who taught you that? They also taught you not to have self-esteem. They were the ones that were eroding it by not allowing you to take care of yourself. Self-esteem, self-care, and boundaries are all intermingled. And so you got to work on self-esteem and boundaries, and you got to work on self-care. It's not an if, it's not a maybe, it's a must. Okay, so there's that. All right, let's get to the next question. I overshare with my abuser. How do I stop? Okay, now that is a really good question because we've all been trained to overshare. We have. And they do it on purpose because they want to know. They want to know what we're thinking and doing so that we can't get away. They want to know our every move. They do. And they'll provoke. They'll get us angry so that we'll say something out of anger. So I've had, oh, Lord, in working with women that are trying to get away from their male abusers, I tell them, do not fall for that trick. They do it all the time. If they suspect that you're working on an escape plan, they'll provoke you into telling them, don't fall for it. And then sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Thankfully, most times they don't. But every once in a while, I'll get one that just verbally vomits and tells them exactly everything that they're planning because they're trying to hurt the abuser, because they're trying to elicit a normal human response to wanting to abandon them. But you got to understand, you're not dealing with a normal human. You're not dealing with somebody who has normal human emotions. You're not dealing with somebody who feels the way the rest of us do. The rest of us would be mortified if our partner came up and said, guess what? I'm leaving. Guess what? I've got a bank account. Guess what? Da-da-da-da-da, whatever. But narcissists don't. They don't care. They really, leave them, don't leave them, they don't care. As long as they have a supply. As long as somebody is giving them supply, they don't care. So what they'll do, though, is they'll provoke the partner into anger to say things so that they can get information out of them. This is why engaging with a narcissist is never going to get you what you want. Everyone always in the beginning thinks, oh, well, if I could only just get them to see. No, they see. Let me be clear. They see. They know exactly what they're doing. They do, and they're enjoying it. So don't fall for the arguing BS. Don't fall for the, I'm going to say this to hurt them, and this will get me the response I want. How old are you in that moment? That's the inner child. That's the inner child. The inner child is the one that goes, blah, trying to get the approval of the adult, the parent. So who in your family taught you to overshare? And you're going to have to write a letter. Dear Mom, dear Dad, dear Grandma, dear Uncle Bert, whatever. I am not going to overshare anymore. It's not my job. I get to have my own private inner life, and you don't get to know about it. So bleep the bleepity bleep bleep out of bleeping bleep you. Thank you very much. I'm raising the rent. Get out of my head. You are not running the show. My inner child is not running the show. I get to not overshare anymore. And then trot it out to the barbecue and burn it. Work the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, because you're working on inner child stuff. Because the inner child is the one that's blabbing. The inner child is the one that's trying to hurt them or trying to get their approval or trying to wake them up. It's not going to happen. They're not going to change, guys. They don't get better. They don't understand, or they do understand the level of damage they're doing. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. So that's what you have to get through your head. So working again on self-esteem is going to help you because people with self-esteem don't overshare. We understand boundaries. We understand what they need to know and what they don't need to know, and when it's a need-to-know basis. So working on self-esteem, the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi, The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker, Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor, all of those are going to get you to help you not overshare. Okay, kids, I am going to stop, so I will talk to you next week. So next week, we are going to be talking about in-laws and ex-laws, because I didn't get to that this time. So we're going to talk about how to deal with that if you can deal with that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, how to deal with the holidays, how to deal with birthdays, anniversaries, et cetera, if they're overly enmeshed in your life, especially if they're ex-laws. So yeah, we're going to want to talk about all that good stuff. All right, kids, well, have a good week, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye.